Thank you, Vincent. I'm looking out for my Secretary General, who was doing something earlier. I'd hoped I'd introduce him, but I cannot see him. So allow me to go on. Yesterday, I had a very interesting evening. I sat with a Deputy Vice Chancellor in a nice place. We had some nyama, and I listened to him speak. And I'd like to note that my thoughts today were actually activated by his thinking. Okay, and we're saying university management actually know what's going on the ground. Sometimes we forget. SG, please stand up. I'll introduce you again, and you're not there again. That's our Secretary General, Brian. Okay. I need to say that. Okay. I think once in a while it's important to look at yourselves. And when I got this topic, what I decided to do is to turn it around and focus on ourselves as East Africa. Because one of the biggest problems is when you walk around naked, and everybody around you is praising you and not telling you you're naked. Okay, so it's important that occasionally you turn things around and face yourselves and see what's going on. Because I think it's a way to open up a better situation for yourself. Why is my slide not moving? Oh, good. One time at a regional conference that was run by FISU, Penina, I asked the FISU people, where exactly do we sit as a regional body? Because that's what East Africa is. Okay, there are 12 NUSUFs that sit under us, but where exactly does FISU assume we sit? I didn't get an answer. Okay, and that's, like I say, the debate still continues. Currently, the NUSUFs are a little scared of East Africa. Yet in my mind of minds, I think that their job and our job complement. Okay, we listened to Mr. Gantu telling us about the issue of where university sports lies. We listened to even the minister. We need to position ourselves correctly. Okay, and our relation with the NUSUFs, Penina, House, Mr. Babu there, Kusuf, our relation should be complementary. Okay, we should be trying to look for synergies that make us a little happy. I visited the Kibabi Games in December, and I felt a little out of the, like a little fish out of the water. You know, I was actually Secretary General of KUSA then, but that was like 20 years ago. And when I went to these current games, people didn't know who I was, okay? And I was feeling a little lost, and I'm saying there's need for us to create that situation where we juxtapose and give East Africa the right position, okay, in where we sit. If I was to go for any games in FISU, I'd have to go through NUSUF. Isn't that correct, Penina, the Vice President of FISU? Okay, but having said all this and sounding a little like I'm complaining, I want to say that we have so much potential, okay? And that's what I want to talk about today. My slides are not moving, so I'll just operate them like this. Okay. I want to leave this year because I've been given just 10 minutes. I want to leave this year because 12 strategic areas are currently, you know, like we usually say, our agenda is operating along, sorting out our administration, sorting out our sporting competition, and this is the beginning. The media was asking me, what is what is this symposium all about? And I was telling them, this is what rolls out the 12th games. Okay, then there's the mass participation, education, and people's reform. I want to leave this here because we are fails. We'll revisit this at a later stage. Very quickly, let me tell you something about the background of fails. In Dodoma in 2018, there was 4,300 students. If I look back to 2016, when we went to Jomo Kenyatta, 4,000 students. Okay, I'm seeing the immediate past president here. This is basically your history. If we look back to 2014, UCU, 3,900. Okay, it's suggesting that ideally, if everything was to be held together, Ndeche, 4,500. Okay, this makes us one of the biggest institutions in Africa. I don't think anybody else apart from the All African Games ever gets this kind of numbers. Okay, so we are a serious organization. However, from our history, every time somebody hosts the games, we see trouble. The host loses his job and things like that. The hosts are making losses. Okay, and I've held 2 games. I held the 1999, what we should refer to as the first games, and I think in 2004. I'm not never quite sure. I can't remember. My mind sometimes wanders off. And the Kenyatta Games in 2004, we actually made money. At the end of the period, we actually made money. I remember I was then the secretary of the committee at Kenyatta, and the vice chancellor had given the job to the then deputy vice chancellor administration. Those of you in research know Mugenda, and she kept asking, but where's the money? So what I told her to do is put in our vote the amount of money you're supposed to for East Africa, and they put the 4 million Kenyan shillings. Okay, and with 3 weeks to the games, she asked, but where's the money? And I'm telling her, but the money has started to come. Have you looked? Madam Vice Chancellor, when she went and looked, what did she find? That 4 million had moved to 13 million. So her next question was, where's the finance officer? I want to sign out all these things. Because she started to see things working. Is it possible to make money? Yes, Mr. Vice Chancellor, it is possible to make money out of these games. Sometimes I remember, I keep saying, let's talk about our nakedness. It helps us to open up. When myself and my immediate past president took over this function, the Kenyans were even declaring I'm not a Kenyan. And what finally happened was he kept telling me, are you sure East Africa, because East Africa is basically Kenya and Uganda. Okay, our Tanzanian brothers are there, but they're little, okay. So he kept asking me, but we're preparing for this, are you sure somebody's, and I told him, don't worry, okay, and if you know, you know, okay. When the per diem comes calling, people forgot that we were having a fight, and Kenya docked in, and we had great games. Okay. But for me, the most important item in all this is, where do we put our students? I think it was Gunther who was asking, where the students? We were asking, where the women? Where do we put our students? Okay, that's an important question. It's just that we have very few minutes to go, and I'm asked to rush. Okay. I think that our biggest problem is the women. Problem in the sense that if there was more participation by them, it would mean a lot more. You asked the question, where are the ladies? Okay, everywhere we go. Yesterday we had a meeting, and the few ladies who were on our committee were not there. And I kept addressing people as gentlemen, and I was saying, this isn't right, okay? We need to bring in the women. And the question is, do we mainstream them, or do we segregate? But that's a debate of another day. If we had a bit more time, I would have talked about that. Okay, and I'm saying that that philosophical debate continues. The women, and I'm glad House has a lady as a president. There's need for a little bit more to be done at the East African level. Okay. Another very dear topic to me is the place of the students with disability. And we recently had a boot camp in Morogoro, and I'm very glad that Makerere found a minute to bring a student with disability. But that's another area that we need to exploit. If we are talking about the potential of the region, that's an area we need to talk about. I'm glad institutions such as USIU have even started wheelchair football. Akaka here is the chair of the Western Conference in Kusuf, and he says they actually have a disability sports day just before we travel to Ndeche, and that's important. Okay. So where is the dilemma? Where is the dilemma? We are university sports. Where is the dilemma? You look at NCAA, you find that at almost every Olympics, half of the athletes that compete at are university students. You look at Australia, same statistics. So where is our problem? My vice chancellor from the University of Nairobi is very proud of one Omanyala, the fastest man in Africa, like we like to call him. And we're saying, how come there's only one Omanyala? And I'm sure if we went to Uganda, you'll discover out of the contingent of probably 100, the percentage of university students might be, Patrick, 10%? Okay. So we're asking, how come there's such a big anomaly when you go to the developed world? Okay, and that's where we play our part as East Africa. And as we discuss our issues, etc., I hope that will come out. Another important thing that we've slept on is that government connection. And Ndeche, I'm proud of you. You actually had the minister sitting here and listen to the promises that he made. And if I were you, Mr. Vice Chancellor, I'd follow every one of those so that we end up at a different moment. Okay, government in most African countries is the biggest businessman. So you must find the relation between your federation, with the association, and government. I sat with Professor Nywera yesterday, and he was wondering, you guys are sleeping on it. Okay, well, where is the connection between Professor Nywera? Or am I lying? Yes, that's what we're discussing yesterday. Where is the connection between university sports and government? Government is the biggest businessman, they have the biggest pass. So you must find that connection as NUSUFs, even as we speak about it as East Africa. And after listening to you, when I saw a minister today, I quickly told him, can we be enjoined so that our minister comes along? And Mr. Mbabu is here. Me and you will talk to Professor Nywera, and we need to go and see the new minister so that there is a closer relation between the NUSUF and because if I went as East Africa, you start to wonder, you're East Africa, but where is the NUSUF? Okay, and that's the potential we are talking about. Okay, what are some of the best practices? Because I just want to exit, because I don't want to spend too much time. There's need for an endowment fund. You go to the United States, a lot of institutions have huge endowment funds. Where are the alumni of those institutions? Where are the alumni of Ndeche? A lot of people have benefited by going through getting scholarships. They need to come back and give. Where are the alumni of Makerere? Makerere, half of the Kenyan ministers in the last 2 governments were from Makerere. Those days, like in Anyang. They need to give back. Okay, we are saying the same at the University of Nairobi. Where are alumni? And everywhere you go, you find alumni of the University of Nairobi. I believe even here in Uganda, when you walk here, there are a lot of people from the University of Nairobi. And we're asking where, okay, let them come back through endowment funds. Okay, and same question, where are the alumni of FEUS? Where are the people that benefited from FEUS? The Omanyalas and people like that. Is it possible to tap some of that takes that they come with that and bring it back here? I talked about this NCAA. I'm just looking at best practices, and I'm saying there's need to line up activities. This year, I think as FEUS, we've done extremely well coming from the COVID era. We've managed to do a number of activities, and I wish to thank all those institutions and their leaderships that have found time to meet us. The people who are at the Women Games at Busitama, thank you very much. Even as I say, thank you to Busitama for hosting such successful games. We've just come back from Morogoro. Thank you to TUSA for hosting that event. And of course, it goes without saying, Professor, Vice Chancellor, thank you very much on behalf of East Africa for hosting us this time around. Okay. We need to get to a level where there's administrative tidiness. Okay. What do our constitutions say? Do we adhere to those constitutions? Yesterday I was being told, you guys are having these games and you have procedures. Where are those procedures hinged? Okay. Everything must come from the Constitution. And since we are the top brains, okay, as university, the top brains, we need to hinge all our ideas from the Constitution. We need to learn to use the students. Let's not be scared of them. I remember after we came back from Morogoro, our student leaders were very excited, only for us to get a tweet saying, hey, that was not constitutional. And we're saying, yes, but we're giving the university students an opportunity, because these games we do on their behalf. Okay, we don't do these things on our own behalf. Some of us are unable to do the 10 minutes run in the morning, but these university students are in the golden ages of play. So we need to give them that opportunity. We need to bring top university management into our games, into our federations. I feel privileged that I'm sitting in front of a whole vice chancellor listening to my take. I'm feeling privileged. Professor Onywera, Professor Kakembo, I feel privileged that you're listening to me. Okay? But we need to bring you guys on board. In fact, my take is we need a patron for FEUS from management level. Okay? And listening to Professor Onywera, I even wish to campaign for him. He's a physical educator. Okay, and listen to the very things. Okay, but we need to. I was told to obey the Constitution. We will go towards the direction of the Constitution. We need to build an elite center. And I listened to you. I actually loved your presentation. And you're talking about this. We need to create a situation where the university understands we are the researchers. Okay, but what research are we doing? We're even sometimes demarcating and telling us, you guys from research have nothing to do with sports. And I'm saying, what do you mean have nothing to do with sports? My first degree, my second, are all about sports. I smell, and when I was a student leader, when I was a student, I was a sports leader. And if you doubt, there's a Masiga here. He will tell you. Okay, there's a day he had the privilege of sleeping at Nairobi Hospital due to me. If he had been given a chance, the university management fought me for 4 years because they kept telling me that guy needed to be taken to Kenyatta Hospital. Okay, we used to play rugby with him. He's on the ground. The guys were asking, Captain, where do we take this guy? I said, take him to the best bed at Nairobi Hospital. When the bill came to the university, they were asking, but how does a student go to the same place as the vice chancellor? But that's a story of another day. Okay. But we need to we've reached a level where the other communities in our background, we're having a fight with FASU because Zambia last time came to our games. DRC wants to come to our games. Okay, and soon we'll be coming to you, FASU, to request if DRC, in the same breath as East Africa community, we can move them towards them. But we also need to be able to link up sports with the other ideas, sports tourism. Okay, there's a very close synergy between sports and sports tourism. I think you talked about it. My take is usually that when we come here on the 16th, the Ndeche will make sure that the students from Kenya, the students from other parts of the East African zone will be very happy to be here, and we'll test some of the best things from Uganda. I'm not talking about antelopes, my SG. Okay. We need to go towards our niche area, which is student games. Okay, and make the very best of that. Numbers are assets. Let's not be scared of coming together. Let's have this kind of discussions with more and more people. I come from the school of thought where if I'm the chairman or director, if there was somebody very good within my ranks, what I'll do is I'll ride on their backs. Okay, what I'll do is make sure that that person's performing. Because when the vice chancellor asks, he doesn't ask who is that. What he asks, what department is that person from? Okay, and who is the chair of that department? And you benefit. I am in charge of a group of sharp guys. Okay, most of the staff from my department were directors. Some of them were even my bosses. Okay, if you know how the university system works, one person sits at a time. When you finish your tour, somebody else comes and sits. Okay, so a few months ago, the guys under me, including those of you in the South Africa, remember Professor Ntere. Okay, he used to work under myself. And what do? I ride on his strengths. And that's the challenge I'm giving to you out here, the directors of sports. I can see my classmate there, Florence. I can see Babu. I can see Masiga, my village mate. Okay, ride on the strength of the persons that you have, Maurice. Ride on them. Because when the Vice Chancellor comes to ask, he never asks, where is that Sebliba from? He usually asks, what department is that Sebliba from? And that chairman of that department ends up benefiting. So let's not be scared of each other. I could have said a little bit more, but I had my 10 minutes. Let me finish off by saying, just because you're scratched by a rose, you cannot say you hate all roses. Let me leave it there. Thank you very much for listening to me. 10 minutes?
Okay, thank you very much, Professor Simon Munai. Another hand clap for Professor, for Doctor. And he has used 15 minutes, which is within the summary idea. So we are supposed to have a Q&A. In the interest of time, maybe I could take one question and let it be brief, not another presentation. Yes, sportsmen, we are fond of making other presentations. Yeah, if you know what I'm talking about. So anyone with a question related to the topic that has just been discussed, understanding the untapped potential. Okay, and Dr. Simon did bring out, Simon Munai did bring out very interesting areas where universities still have the capacity to perform better. If there is no question, given the response, allow me now to move. Where? I was wondering. There's a question here by Professor. Please, microphone.
Thank you very much for that brilliant presentation. You talked about vulnerability and the gender in sports. But we have the same issue as gender in science. And we have made some strategies to bridge the gap. I think it can be made. We can borrow from the science in DG to the science in sports. I think the issue of inspiring the women, the young girls, but also the human loss between the ages of 12 and 15 within the African culture. I think we leave so many behind. But if you've got community facilities and you have sports in primary schools, because what is happening here, when you look at the timetable in primary schools, wherever there was physical education, they have taken up that space with the extra mathematics, extra social science. Because it's competitive, it is a deaf throat, breakneck competition. So you find most of these people coming to secondary school, even when they are coming from good families, athletic families, they have lost the talent. So one can start. I don't know whether Madam Kabeng can add on, whether they have a research on the physical education in primary schools. Students begin studying at 4 in the morning for exams, and they leave very late at 7 o'clock. So where are the sports? So there is no discrimination. I think you asked the question, isn't it? There is no discrimination, but I think the system itself does not allow a woman to develop. Can you add on, madam?
Professor, you've well articulated.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. We have one more. Who is helping me? Professor, you have opened up the floor and motivated many to ask, but I'll take one from Gunter. Please, you can write down those. Let's have them in the interest of time. They'll all be addressed. Right? Yes.
Dr. Simon, you mentioned the lack of impact or relevance of research. We talked about applied sports science. I'm not sure if you have in East Africa community a kind of budget or foundation which has funds to encourage you to do applied research. And then you have to set up a working group. So we have an application from this university. This young scientist wants to have a research about the shoe size and the swimming speed. Evaluate it. Does it have an impact on performance development? Does it have an impact on health? So you can control and encourage applied sports science. My question, what are you waiting for?
Very specific question, Dr. Saibo. What are you waiting for? That's on.
Thank you for those two questions. And they're from very senior people. In fact, they're not really questions, they're comments, and I appreciate them. The issue of women, I think, continues to bite. In Africa, I think we are a little behind. We are prehistorical, because what happened was, if you know the history of the Olympics, by 2018, okay, there are very few women that were involved in sports. That's where we are at in Africa. We're still in university sports in Africa. Okay, there's lack of leadership the women are not coming through. We need to find a way of making sure they get there. But what you said, the professor, is correct. The school system, I think the clip he played at the beginning, where people are just bothered about exams, okay, answers speaks to that. And then the issue of research, I completely agree with you. What are we waiting for? There's a very close relation between research and sports. What are we waiting for? And that's why people like Professor Onyora, I can see he's doing what we usually call a chuckle. He's saying, I told you this. He agrees with you, I'm sure, that there's need for that. Okay? Vincent, have I finished? Can I sit? Good.
Thank you very much. Okay, so this will lead us into the second presentation. However, just a little reminder, if you have any question, okay, and it has not been raised, please do write it down on a piece of paper. Indicate the person or the presenter you're addressing. This will be picked, and during one of the sessions of the panel sessions or something, these will be answered, okay? So don't feel like you are left out. Now, our next presentation is on possible funding versus adequate management of resources. And we are looking at the case of Ndeje University, Uganda. Resources are so central to strengthening the integration of the East African region through university sports. And to present to us on this particular topic is again a long-time friend and brother. If I started talking about him, we could take some time, so I'll keep it at that. Join me to welcome Mr. Paul Mark Kayongo, the Finance Manager at Ndeje University. Yeah, I wish you would feel it when you're coming to present and people clap like that. Join me to welcome Paul Mark. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Vincent. I hope I can be heard. While I wish to observe protocol in a special way, allow me to recognize the presence of my Vice Chancellor, Professor Bulgujo, and the leadership of Ndeje University. Wherever, can I ask the leadership of Professor you have seen, but can I ask the leadership of Ndeje University to raise the hand? Yeah, can we clap for? And I also recognize the special senior presidential assistant, Mr. Gunter has been here in recognition. Thank you very much for accepting to be here. I invited Mr. Gunter myself, and he arrived this night. He has been traversing many countries but he had to be here to show the importance. Mr. Gunta, thank you very much for the presence. The former commissioner, our friend, and the technical expert, thank you very much. The FEUS executive, you've been introduced, and all our dear participants, thank you very much for honoring this symposium invitation. It is a pre-games symposium, and its success goes a long way to tell how successful we can have this year's edition Eastern African Games. So we don't take it for granted. Thank you very much. Now, the topic before me is possible funding options versus adequate management of resources for university sports. It's a very familiar topic, but also very important, because finance is the engine. Is the engine for everything in whatever we do in our organizations. Now, my approach to present this topic, I'm going to consider 3 main areas. First of all, what are these funding options we are talking about? Number 2 is whose responsibility to mobilize these funding options. And number 3, how can we adequately manage these resources? What are the strategies to raise the resources alongside? So now, the introduction was brief, that why our sports remain underdeveloped, mainly in East Africa and Africa. It's because we are lacking resources, or if we have the resources, then we have not optimally utilized these resources. What do we mean by resource? Is a stock or supply of money, could be materials, staff, or other assets. And we know that time and technology, if not well considered as key strategies, the idea of a resource will be rendered useless, because the concept of value for money originates from the time factor, and the technology is the driving factor of value and efficiency of any resource. I'm trying to be very brief, because this paper was well written, and you'll have a soft copy of it. It's not my problem that we didn't observe the time. So therefore I cannot go in detail. But when I give you this paper, please go and read it for your own good. Because for me, I'm a finance person, I'm qualified. I have less to learn in this area. It is for your personal what? For your personal benefit. Yeah. Like you see the technological trend, the main technological trend, the artificial intelligence there, the Internet of Things, You are in one room, but you are in a global village. The whole world is around you because of technology. The virtual reality. See that gentleman where he is. It's like everybody is in one room because of the modern technological trends taking place. So you can't think of a resource. You can't think of making money when you don't integrate with the latest technology. And resources have three main features: the utility, the limitation in availability, and the potential for depletion. Can I ask you, Paul, my ICT person? Okay. Can you keep showing people the pictures so that I do my presentation? Because I want to make it very brief, and it's not for reading, but they can see the photos. Now, I said, what are these funding options? The funding options are financial or non-financial. Because people, what is on their mouth every time, they think that all resources are financial. By financial, I mean this cash, which you have even in your pockets. If I was to check everybody in this room, everybody has a wallet with money, so you don't want to show. That is how important you attach money to resource. But beyond the money, which you can physically touch, or the cash you have on your accounts, there are these non-financial resources, which are now the main component of the global resources. And when you ignore the main component of the resource, you miss out, because you are focusing on what is very minor and ignore the abundance. And this is where I want to focus by what? I want to focus by presentation, which are these non-financial resources. Please, you didn't come here to learn about money in your pocket and on your accounts, but you learn about a non-financial resource. For example, a constructed or a manufactured capital. Like you have a lot of buildings. When you go to Makerere, the Ivory Tower here, you find a lot of infrastructure, a lot of machinery. If you come to Ndeje, you see their swimming pool. Ndeje has a square mile of land. It is there. The courts, the football pitches, that's manufactured capital. If you want to grow your financial resource, can you think of adding value to this manufactured capital as a non-financial what? Then you are adding value. Okay, look at that. That facility in Ndeje. It is there. But Ivan, Mr. Kalimunda, the sports tutor, he will always tell you, I don't have any money in my pocket. But he has this wonderful what? Wonderful asset. You see, this is one of the hostels at Ndeje, where the athletes will reside. You have that building, but you have no money in the wallet. Some of the Ndeje University studios, for teaching purpose, they are there, but they can be transformed into money. Ndeje has a university television. I don't know if you are aware. It is there for teaching purpose. Where is the money? Those buses are there which keep driving the students in and out. There's that land of a square mile we have. But we keep crying, we don't have what? Money. Now go to the second source of capital, which is human capital, resource. If I were to ask anybody from universities in this house, what's the size of your academic staff capacity? I won't ask the support staff. You realize, I think Ndeje has over 400 academic staff on full time. If you add the part-timers, maybe you might enter about 800, another double. But then you wonder, outside teaching, how much money do these academic staff raise? Through grant, through research, how much is it that is coming in? Maybe some predominant traditional universities like the Makerere, the Nairobi, the Kenyatta, maybe they have made headway in this source of capital because they are able to do meaningful research and commercial research to bring money to complement the financial. But now the challenge is for those universities that are coming up, like my university, the younger private universities. Can we look into that direction? That when you have a sports department, which has 20 professors, 20 lecturers, how optimally can you utilize that staff base to generate money? Related, of course, the intellectual capital, which you could optimize through the research skills, grant writing skills, developing publication. How can we translate this into money? Because for a university, I think the best strategy would be a vertical or horizontal integration if you are to diversify income. Because we cannot go and begin burning charcoal or to make a blade. You will not compete with somebody in the village who has specialized using little resource to make his blade. For you as a university, you don't have a competitive advantage in that area. Your advantage is in vertical integration, horizontal integration. You've got the staff in abundance. Can you build on research? Can you do the grant? Because you already have an in-house what? In-house resource. I think that's the idea. Okay. Yeah, those are projects which you see in Ndeje. Okay. Now, again, hidden among the non-financial resources is goodwill. You can relate it to corporate branding. Because some people take it for granted. When you hear Makerere University, an ivory tower, has existed for, I don't know how many years, 100 years. Yeah. How do you relate this to your balance sheet? Can you translate this non-tangible value into the tangible and recognizing it onto the balance sheet? When you look at a professor, like our vice chancellor there, what is his worth? What could be his worth in reality? When you go into the current financial reporting, you don't see the value of the professors on the balance sheet because the available standard accounting and financial reporting standards, they are naive, they ignore this other dimension, which is very vital. That's why those of you who are teaching students in universities in area of finance and accounts, almost what you are teaching is empty. Because all the methods of valuation and recognition of company potential ignore this intangible aspect, which is the major resource. How do you say that you are presenting fairly at market value when you ignore? Look at this line of what? Professors here. If by bad luck they are coming from one university, something catastrophe happened here, and we lose all of them. Tomorrow, you can learn that the university can close, but you have, but you say you have the money. That is the dilemma. Now, Paul will continue running through the pictures, but I set another second question: whose responsibility? And this is where we go wrong again. Where we go wrong, because we think that the responsibility to mobilize the funds, to mobilize resources in our organization, rests in the hands of a finance person. For us in DG, the head of finance is the finance manager, and I head the finance. Originally, I was a university bursar, like in a primary school. And I know some of your universities, you still use these terms, university bursar. So you think that a bursar, a typical bursar, can mobilize money in a university setup, but he cannot. He's limited, even by his title bursar. Because the idea of a bursar is that money is lumped somewhere, he will pick and distribute. But in a private setup, like now in our setup, where is the money in a box to distribute? You must manufacture, you must make the money. You see? And I've said, the biggest money for universities is in the aspect of non-what? Financial. Where the bursar or a finance manager has less control. It is you, the professors, who are seated on university what? University money. And then you go to cry for what is not available, for what will never be available. Because you've got the intellectual capacity to make money, and make a big what? Big money. And yet you continue complaining, our bursar is mean, doesn't want to release money, but he doesn't have it. So the responsibility to mobilize funds or resources of an institution like a university should be disintegrated, so that the focus shouldn't really look at a mere finance manager or bursar, but to look at everybody who matter, including various managers, the various resource people, the academicians, if we have understood what makes a resource in the context of a university. Now, let me briefly touch on the third aspect of my presentation, which is basically how can we adequately manage. And I said I would integrate it with the strategies we have to employ in managing these resources. Of course, the first strategy would be to list our portfolio of assets. Because in organizations, if you want to know, go back and sit down. You give a student research to tell you what is viable, what can be viable in our institution. They will give you a million ideas. But you can't employ a million ideas, because again, you will be limited. Each idea requires some investment, initial investment, requires money. So you need to do the screening so that you come up with a portfolio of your assets, even if they are 10 out of 100, where you can focus. Because universities operate on a strategic plan. You can't say you are going to annex resources from 100 sources in 5 years. But it is prudent to say we are going to annex resources from 20 sources in 5 years. Then I know you understand what you are talking about. So, the beginning step would be really to do that screening. We have so many things which are viable. I know some people don't ignore these things. They will go and say, no, let us make a blade. Let us make a bricks. But where is your competitive advantage? You remember what I said? If we are going to optimize value, we optimize value by hyping our revenues and minimizing the costs. Do it by vertical or horizontal integration to avoid working in the reverse. So you screen, you know which sources where you can focus, and also you can rank what you have screened to know which is most viable. The accountant would be talking about computation of a net present value. Net present value, and there are so many steps. If you read my concept, it can trigger you to read other books and understand. Because you are not accountants, I don't expect you to read at first sight and understand. But when you read, it can trigger you. If you are interested, you go and read. The other good strategy is to do the budgeting. Now a budget, let me warn you, is a very traditional tool in funds management. In fact, if I was a lecturer, I would mention it last. But I know for you, you prioritize it because you are limited in finance. the president was there, the Minister of Education is there, because they have come because of our sports. Now, if you are going to marginalize the sports budget and say this is the leisure, but this is where one of the sectors where you are deriving highest value. And then you say, because last year it took 10% of our budget, this year it cannot exceed 10%. You miss the point. So the idea really, use a budget as a tool, but use it in what? In the context of other understanding. Now, the other area you can look at is a business plan. Business plan. Because if you are looking at targeting big money, you are not going to get money from donors when you don't have the skills to develop a winning business plan. Remember, when you visit these websites where they are making calls, they will tell you that this information has been saturated to the entire world. And for you, you think that a professor of history, you will go and write a winning concept for $50 million. You need expertise in that respect. So, focus on it. Otherwise, you will keep writing and writing until retirement. And then you say, there's no money in research. The other strategy is to know that finance and accounts is a highly regulated area, because they are key financial statements which must be prepared. When you want money, someone wants to know whether you are in compliant of the basic standards in finance and accounting. Can you prepare an income and expenditure statement? Okay? Or when you get the money, put it in your briefcase, and then you walk away on the plane. You come back, you pick another money. And then you say, you want money from funders. Finance is highly regulated. If you are going to win money, you must comply with the standard. The income statement must be there to show when you got some money last year, from which sources? How did you earn, by the way? How did you spend it? Did you save anything? Or you operated like a picnic budget? Because everybody cooks food for picnic. You sit in the corner, eat it, finish it, throw the rubbish, go home. But you can't operate a department like a picnic what? Like a picnic budget. So there's also the statement of financial position, or traditionally what we call the balance sheet. With the balance sheet, it keeps you abreast. Do you know which are your assets in the business? What are my assets? What are my liabilities? Who is it that is demanding me money? At any one time, you must know. Because the person who wants to inject money in you must know, are you creditworthy? If you have never borrowed $1 million, how can you apply for a grant, for a loan of $50 million? So he's looking at your balance sheet to see your historical performance. What are your assets? What are your liabilities? Okay? How much capital do you have? If we give you our money, won't you close and you run away to open another business? Run away with people's money? That is a balance sheet. It will balance you off. Income statement, balance sheet, then you come to cash flow statement. The cash flow wants to check your liquidity. Okay? It is looking at the previous year, current year. Can you be a going concern? Can you sustain the business? These are basic. So all those statements are in this presentation. Like I said, the poll should have been running through to show you, but I see it's running another thing. Yeah, so those statements are there. You are going to read in my presentation. The other area to look at is the compliance aspect. Because it's not enough to report at the end of a month or year that we have made 100 billion turnover. Someone would ask you a question. Did you pay the taxes? Have you catered for the environment where you are? Because I see very many factories being opened. You pour sand, you pour soil in swamps, you build the factories, and you report billions of money made on your balance sheet. Is that true? That when you destroy the environment and you make 100 million, is that real money? So that is a compliance aspect. You have to care for environment, you have to pay the taxes, you have to do what Mr. Munai here was arguing, the affirmative action. You see, if you are in a business, you are 100 men, you run the business, and then you are very happy, celebrating at the end of the year, I think we are doing well. Then somebody, the gender equality man, will ask, but how many women have benefited out of this leverage? So, compliance. The other aspect is risk management. You cannot make money when you don't know the importance of risk management. Because with risk management, this is the origin of business. With risk management, the amount of risk you undertake in a business is equivalent to how much turnover you can make. If you're a risk-averse person, Mr. Gunter is in a deep sleep. But if you are risk-averse, if you are risk-averse individual, whatever coin you make, you put it in your wallet, you don't want it to go out, you can never generate more money. So the aspect of risk management is that you are willing to undergo a certain level of risk so that it makes you able to attract more more money. With risk, you take note of two things. Some risk is systematic, another risk is unsystematic. With the systematic risk, you may not do much. Like when we had the COVID pandemic, we were just waiting to see who dies the other day. And after the COVID pandemic, what else comes? Ebola came. If we had the control, we would say, we have suffered so much in COVID. Let no other pandemic come. That is the systematic. Just like inflation in the country. For you as an individual, you don't have capacity to control. It's beyond. Or interest rates on the global market, externally determined. But internally in your business, you can earn systematically, control or manage risk by avoiding losing money through corruption, have internal controls to improve your internal operations. That is within your control. If you are coming late and you lose money through clientele, come early. The sky is the limit. That's risk management. The other area is communication. Don't forget that we managers, in organizations wherever we are stewards. When the entrepreneur, when the owner entrusts you with his business, he's expecting you to give feedback, how you are faring. I've just been talking about reporting through our official standard, income statement, balance sheet, cash flow. There are other statements I won't mention because I know after here you are going for lunch. I don't want to spoil the lunch. But you have a duty as a steward to communicate. And when you communicate, okay, you build the confidence to the providers of money to your business. And my last one is on integrated reporting vis-a-vis the critical thinking. Integrated reporting, I don't know whether it is Gunther who was talking about multiple games. Yeah? Professor always talks about multitasking, multi-skilling. These are now modern terms that when you are a finance person, when you are a leader in an organization, you must know everything that makes you shine as a leader in an organization. Don't focus on money alone, because money alone is not the issue. And many organizations go wrong because they focus on the minor thing. They don't focus on the people. They don't focus on the environment. They don't focus on government. You see? Because organizations will say, for us, we don't want to engage with government. But the government is a primary what? Is a primary stakeholder in everything you do, whether you do it in the dark, is a primary what? Stakeholder. So the aspect of integrated what? Reporting becomes very paramount, that when you are drawing your financial reports for the month ending, for the year ending, please report beyond finance, beyond the figures, to show that you are environmental friendly, to show that you care for what drives the economy, you pay the tax, you care for the community where you drive your business, and so on and so forth. The sky is the limit. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I know I went beyond the time, but thank you very much.
Okay, another hand clap for Mr. Kayongo for the wonderful finance presentation where he has articulated the issue of possible funding avenues and also the management of the resources. In most cases, we emphasize funding. Where do we get the money from? Where do we do this? We rarely emphasize the management of these resources. And now I think the message that is coming through is very clear that as universities, we should also do some work around the management of these funds. Okay, so issues of accountability, issues of compliance, the whole aspect of sustainability, risk management. Very, very important in managing the resources. And Paul, thank you very much for bringing this home in such a clear way. Our take is we must read that handout for our own good. I quote Paul. So let's be ready. Okay, now we are going in for the final presentation. It's around 1 o'clock. Those who are conventional, I think it is about lunchtime, but allow us to extend a little bit to listen in to this wonderful presentation, and then we shall have a quick panel discussion and break off. We shall have our lunch at 2 o'clock, okay? So adjust accordingly. As I'm preparing to invite Professor, let me just ask us to stand. Let me just ask us to stand, and I invite my friend, Mr. Sebugwao, to do something. I think he was about to complain, Vincent, you're keeping the people seated.
Raise up your hands. Vincent has said it right. And you know I have Mr. Gunter here. He doesn't want people who sit for too long. Raise up hands with smiles. Like this. Keep the smiles. Do this. Allow blood circulation. Mr. Gunter talked about the non-communicable diseases, which means people sit too long and they eat too much food. We don't want to be that, because you're the ambassadors of sports and physical activity. I'll start counting. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Now clap. Hands straight. The hands straight. Okay. That's enough.
So I'll be inviting Mr. Sebugwao at a later time. I hope this time you won't tell us to use the toes. Okay. The issue of legacy for hosting universities is very important. And as Eastern African universities, we ought to give it the necessary attention. So our next presenter is going to talk about the legacy of hosting university sports events over the years. And he has a story to tell from Kenyatta University. Ladies and gentlemen, join me to welcome Professor Vincent Onywera, the Acting Deputy Vice Chancellor in ROI. Vincent, you're welcome.
Thank you so much.
So Professor has acknowledged that we have the same name, Vincent. And like you've realized, I don't say a lot when I'm communicating. Professor, you're welcome.
Thank you very much. Yes. Asante sana, thank you very much. Vice Chancellor and the leadership of Ndeje University, the leadership of the Federation of East Africa Sports, University Sports, and the leadership of FASU. Here, my colleagues, keynote speaker, and my friend, we met last 2016, distinguished sports officers, delegates, good afternoon. Good afternoon. I think the exercise was very important, and thank you for enhancing our blood circulation. My name is Vincent Onywera. I work at Kenyatta University. I teach in the Department of Physical Education, Exercise, and Sports Science. But right now, I'm in the university management as the Deputy Vice Chancellor in charge of research, innovation, and outreach. I really want to thank the organizers of this precursor to the Games, for finding it worthy to invite Kenyatta University leadership for this very important meeting. Receive very warm greetings from our university, our Vice Chancellor and the university management and the community at large. Vice Chancellor, I have the burden of making this presentation when our physiology is already expecting food. This presentation, unfortunately, is 2 hours long, but I'm going to make it 20 minutes long, or even less. So Kenyatta University is 37 years old. We have a rich history. Initially, KU was a military barrack, but at independence, it was converted into a learning institution. We have a student population of 70,000, and we have 1,231 members of faculty and an almost similar number of support staff. The university has a master plan, and our master plan is very top-heavy on sports excellence. And as you can see on the map right in the middle there, the vision is to have a stadium, 35-seater stadium in the university that is also well equipped with multi-sport recreation area. The recreation area is under construction, and we remain committed as university management to ensure that it becomes a reality. We also have the first ever teaching, research, and referral hospital at the university with a 600-bed capacity, now owned by the Ministry of Health. We are a comprehensive university. We used to have 19 schools, teaching and research schools, but with some bit of restructuring, these numbers have now come down. We have merged certain schools so that we can be able to ensure sustainability and financial stability. So sports at KU, I'll not bore you with this slide. This slide basically reminds us on the benefits of physical activity. Physical activity is any bodily movement that leads to expenditure of energy and is caused by skeletal muscles. Physical activity is the motherboard, and within physical activity, we have other subsets. For example, sports, games, play, recreation, leisure. So your take-home assignment today, please define the various subsets of physical activity. When we meet in Deje in December, I'll take all the answer booklets and I'll go and mark them back at Kenyatta University. There are several benefits of engaging in physical activity. Mental health, improvement of mental health, improvement of academic excellence. There is a positive correlation between engaging in physical activity and academic aptitude. And colleagues have done research in this area. Improvement in bone density, management of cancers, various forms of cancers, the improvement in mood state, improvement in the quality of life and happiness, peace and development. And the keynote speaker already talked about some aspects of the UN Sustainable Development Goals and the role of physical activity and sports in enhancing this. We are seeing a huge challenge as a result of physical inactivity, where we are sitting more, eating more, moving less. That when you are seen walking on campus, then they ask you, what's the problem? Can I give you a lift? When you are seeing that where walking and running is seen to be something that is supposed to be done by those in the low socioeconomic status. The result of this is that non-communicable diseases, heart disease, cancers, hypertension, is taking our people to the graves much faster than the communicable diseases. The medicine is in engaging in physical activity, and we have the recommendations. So Kenyatta University has teaching and research departments whose aim is to churn out ambassadors. At Kenyatta University, sports, physical education, sports science is not an A or B. Sports is right on the table. And it is taught right from certificate level all the way to the PhD level. And I'm normally very proud to associate myself with physical education, exercise, and sports science because I'm a product of that department. And I'm normally very proud to introduce myself as a grade 1 professor of exercise and sports science, not only at Kenyatta University, but in Africa. So we have this department churning out many, many people. My colleagues from Kenyatta University who are here, they went through this department. We also have another department, an academic and teaching department that focuses on recreation and sports management. Because we have to be managers and we have to be trained in the ethos and ethics of sports administration and management. We have to be at the front there so that we can guide, we can be able to inform policy, we can be able to inform practice moving forward. A lot of research is going on in this space. Keynote speaker, you raised issues of research, and at Kenyatta University, I'm in charge of research. I'm the Deputy Vice Chancellor in charge of research. And we, every financial year, set aside 50 million that goes for research within the university. Not just basic research, not applied research, but we are now keen on product development. We want to see innovation, which will lead to commercialization of products. A lot of research, last financial year alone, we were able to raise more than 60 million US dollars that came through research to the university. And you know, this is a small percentage that we call admin fee that comes into the university, in the university budget. Just yesterday, as I was coming here, a group of our researchers won $7.2 million to deal with issues of striga. You know, in western part of Kenya, there's a lot of striga. Early in the year, another group of our researchers won $8.2 million to establish a center. Those are $1 million. So we are very much in this landscape. In this landscape, a group of our researchers in physical education, exercise and sports science won 600,000 euros to engage in physical activity kind of research. Just right now, there's a call from the World Anti-Doping Agency for colleagues to apply. So there's a lot of money around, and at least for me as DVC in charge of research, I know where the money is, and we share this information with our colleagues. So we have done a bit of research here and there, and we share our research findings. It is very important that we do research. We don't keep it in the university shelves, but we share this research with the people who need it most. We share it with the practitioners. We share this research with the policy makers. Sure, you remember, Gunter, you remember Mike Boyd, 2016, I think this was 2016, and of course Kipchoge Keino, and then on extreme right there, Pitsladius and Lorna. And then of course that is yours faithfully. I'm also inside there. We try to explain, we try to elucidate the performance of Kenyan runners, the performance of long distance runners from Uganda, from Ethiopia, using evidence-based, because we cannot, as the minister, make recommendations without facts, without data. So we are at the center of it, and I want to not challenge, but encourage our universities in the region, including in Uganda, to ensure that physical education events, we have been hosting the East Africa University Games. We have hosted the games severally. We hosted the World Under-18 Championships at Kenyatta University. We have hosted the Africa Military Games. We have hosted the East Africa Police Games. We have hosted the World Under-20, despite the COVID challenges. Of course, we hosted President Barack Obama. We have hosted several international, gatherings at our university. And that comes with a lot of benefits in terms of visibility, in terms of infrastructure development, in terms of expanding our networks, in terms of attracting research and development grants. So, as a result of this, and as I've already said, we have a synthetic track on our campus. We have upgraded accommodation on our campus. We have upgraded facilities. We have upgraded sports equipment, including a human performance laboratory at Kenyatta University. We have improved road network. So a number of colleagues from Kenya who are here went through this department, where you are seeing the gymnasium. I went through there as an undergrad. And this has now been transformed with a lot of equipment which came from government, equipment which came from private sector. And apart from this, we have at Kenyatta University 3 wellness centers, like gyms in Kenyatta University, 3 of them, for faculty, for management, for students, and we have a human performance laboratory. So we can do all the tests, the physiological tests for sportsmen and women. We can do physical fitness testing. We can do talent identification and development. We can also be able to do, assess the movement of human beings using motion sensors. At Kenyatta University, you find it. You'll get this at Kenyatta, and we continue to expand this. This is our track, synthetic track at Kenyatta, and we are very proud of it. It's a very popular place, very popular. And I want to thank our Director of Sports, Dr. Florence Gitao, who is here. She is normally on this track every other time. The plan is to, have now the stadium. We are expanding our vision and our master plan. We are expanding it. And every leadership keeps coming and adding and adding. It is my prayer, please, whoever is taking minutes, don't minute this one, that when I become the Vice Chancellor or in future, then you can know that we are going to even escalate sports. We are going to even improve. And even with that, as I respect my Vice Chancellors and previous leaders of the university, they have done an amazing job. So God willing, good life, when I become the Vice Chancellor of Kenyatta University or any other university for that matter, then we'll continue to upgrade this. That one has not been minuted because I still need my job. So when we launched the synthetic track at Kenyatta University, what we did, of course, that was the former CS for Sports, Madam Ambassador Amina Mohamed, our Vice Chancellor. We brought in all the former, not all, a number of the former athletes who were able to come. From 1960, I think that those were Tokyo Games, Commonwealth Games, to the most recent. We brought them at Kenyatta University. Because in Africa, we don't celebrate our heroes. We brought them, we paid for air tickets for those who are out of the university and they stayed in the university hotel. We celebrated them and they were part and parcel. And they go back home with nice stories, nice memories. And they go back home as ambassadors of Kenyatta University. So this is another legacy that we experienced. Well, swimming pool, KU was, as I said earlier, it was a military barrack. So the swimming pool that is on campus was for recreation. I think it's 33 meters. We have set aside a budget to make it Olympic standard moving forward. Our fields, they were not very good. We have very many students. You can imagine when the university is open, we have 50 human beings, students, on one campus. 50,000 students on one campus. You can imagine the amount of stress on the facilities. But as a result of this, we try to upgrade. We have some indoor facility which can be used in one of our campuses, in Ruiru campus, and in the main campus we have really worked hard as a result of hosting these games to upgrade our sports facilities. So we can accommodate in our university 20,000 students. We can accommodate them on our campus. And these facilities have been upgraded from time to time because we have become a big attraction for big groups who want to be accommodated on one campus in one facility. We have become a big attraction. These are student hostels, and this is how the hostel look like. This is not Photoshop. If you come there, you will see this. Of course, when the students come in, they have to buy their own soap and all these supplies. But when we are hosting, the visitors and the groups, then there are modalities. We can give you 2-star accommodation. We can also give you 4-star accommodation. We are moving towards 5-star. We also have a university hotel that can host 120 packs, single rooms. We have, as part of the legacy, water tanks. These ones were put up by the government. We have a lot of, if you want to have problems with students, ensure there's no water, ensure there's no electricity, then they'll ban the university. So as a result of hosting the FASU Games and the World Under-18, we have a lot of water in the university. We can actually survive for close to 1 year without water supply from the Nairobi City County. We have enough water on the university. We also got hot water, so students who are in the hostel, they can use hot water because we get this from the solar. And this was done by the government and other well-wishers. Our road network has expanded tremendously. I think we are a very beautiful university. And this was all done by well-wishers and the government. You must work with the government. You have to go to the government. You have to package your request in a manner that is award-winning and appetizing. Yeah? And you have to look at it beyond the Ministry of Sports, beyond the Ministry of Education, because every ministry has a stake. And at KU, at least from our experience, we are getting a lot of support. Vice Chancellor, my presence here is an indication of Kenyatta University's readiness to be at Ndeje University in December. We are coming. So fast forward, I'm almost done, but I'm very happy to see that we are alert. This is great. So then we were really pleased to be awarded the rights to host the FASU Games. Thank you very much, Madam Secretary General, Madam Penina. It was not easy to accept to host the games because it comes with a lot of responsibilities, but we did what we could to convince the university management so that we could host this. So we were very, very happy that the games went through successfully. We hosted Her Excellency, former First Lady. We hosted the President of FISU, of course our Vice Chancellor, Chairman of Council, and our Chancellor, one of our DVCs who was chairing the LOC. And all these expand the networks. All these ensure that whoever comes to the university, they appreciate, and it is imprinted in their minds. And whenever there's an opportunity to talk about sports, KU then comes to mind. KU comes to mind. I'm sorry, University of Nairobi, but KU always comes to mind. We also hosted, as a precursor to the games, a similar scientific meeting where researchers come and share experiences, they share information, they share facts, because it's not just about elite sports performance. We have to use science. We have to bring in science to be able to enhance our performance and sustain our sports excellence. So we do this quite a lot. We were able to come up with a magazine, a souvenir magazine, a souvenir magazine that explains our journey, the journey of hosting of the FASU Games, some challenges, the programming. So we decided, this came in as a last resort, Madam Penina, but we said, why can't we do a souvenir magazine? And we didn't have a lot of time, but I believe with the team we were able to come up with something that can be carried. These are very beautiful. Now, Hillary, is Hillary here? Hillary, I'm sorry, Hillary. It was a big battle. This is the Kenyatta University male football team. I saw Hillary, Vice Chancellor, I saw Hillary, he was almost collapsing. Then I told him, Hillary, this is just sports. There's no enmity. So we had a big battle. It was a real battle, and the stadium was full. Kenyatta University male soccer team emerged tops in Africa. And East Africa emerged tops in Africa. Because two teams, Kenyatta University and Makerere University Business School, so we'll be going to China to represent Africa. And of course, Makerere University will be there. The female team, Makerere University, will be going. I'm talking to Madam Penina so that the KU female team can also join in. They were number 3, but I think we need to talk. Our Vice Chancellor, Professor Paul Wainaina, right at the forefront. When we were organizing for these games, he would come to the field himself, walk there in the field, look and ask questions. He would call Director Sports. He will call DV, he'll call me, and we'll go. So that we are not just reading it in the news, in the memo and the communication. No. At Kenyatta University, we as members of management, we want to come to the ground where the activities are. And we go there and we listen to the students. We listen to the members of staff. And we have a feel of what is happening on the ground. So that when decisions are being made, they're based on sound. Of course, the young lady there was the champion 10,000 meters during the FASU Games. She destroyed a number of other athletes, but we celebrate those other athletes who escorted her. Of course, Yenko was amazing. Yenko was amazing. Yeko was amazing. He went and all the other athletes dropped out. Our best athlete, Florence, should I say this? No, let me not say that one here. But Yeko is amazing, great. Maybe we should have an exchange program so that we can have him at Kenyatta University, and we can also give you our student back. This one is important. You are seeing the front row. From left, you are seeing left. Then next. Yeah? I play football. This is not Photoshop. My director here can confirm. I go to the Kenyatta University sports fields Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Except when I am sorry? Yes, I play for 90 minutes. Both, yes. So we play, and this inspires, the colleagues. It inspires this staff, from the messenger to the person who cleans the office. We meet in the field and we play, and I'm able to listen. And also it makes them feel very confident that at that level we can still meet in the field and we play, and they can also talk to me. They can, instruct me because I'm one of them as a player. And that goes a long way in ensuring that sports is not just for the elite performance, but it's sports for everybody, leaving nobody behind. And I meet our director of sports at least thrice a week in the field there. And we talk. And when we are there in a relaxed manner, then I can get information. And when requests come to the management, then I am the ambassador of the sportsmen and women at Kenyatta University in management. It makes things easy. It makes things move. It makes things, easy to understand. moving forward. We support the students. There are so many non-elite teams. There are so many non-elite teams at KU. Apart from the central, the core, the ones who are coming to Ndeje in December, we have several other ones who form teams on their own. And sometimes, most of the time, my focus is on those ones on the periphery. Because the budget sometimes goes to the elite. We try to support these non-elites, sometimes with our personal resources, to ensure that we continue having a healthy and active campus in the university. And I think I want to challenge ourselves. Let's focus on the elite performance, but also the non-elite, so that we leave no one behind. There is improved university visibility as a result of hosting all these events. You know, the number of international students who have come to the university has gone up, continues to rise. The number of visitors, the number of universities reaching out to us for partnerships and collaborations in research, in innovation and outreach continues to rise. I just told you that last financial year, we got more than $60 million in terms of research. Our reputation as a university continues to go up as a result of this. And when we are writing our research grants, then we tell the story of KU, the events we have hosted, so that we can instill. We know how to get the money from the donors. We know how to tell the story in a manner that will make the donors be able to put money in the university. Sitting volume, a number of events have now been institutionalized. We are the university with the largest number of students living with disabilities in the region. There are so many students. And what we do is that we have to treat them with decorum and dignity. The hostels where they live, we have enhanced the hostels. We have bought vehicles to ferry them around. We have dedicated services. We have put more than 10 million in the university library to provide equipment and facilities and for translation and braille for this. There are so many, and we celebrate them because they are part of us. The university spent 20 million to develop a section for this sport because they were all over campus. They were skating all over the university, everywhere, in the evening, at what time, they took over the university. So we said, we don't want to stop them because sports is health, sports is wealth. What do we do? So then we were asked to look at a place, and the university spent more than 20 million Kenya shillings to do this. It's a very popular sport on campus, very, very popular. When you go there from afternoon, whether it is raining or the sunshine is up, you'll find these people. There are so many in this place. Income generation through sports, yes. And the finance officer has talked about this. Because of our exquisite culture of hosting groups, international groups, there are so many people who want to come to be hosted at KU, and they pay. And they pay. And when they pay, the money does not just go to the university management. The service providers also get something. Because as a university, we believe in giving incentives to the people who work. So the university management does not take everything and put in the university account. The people, the service providers on campus are given some token of appreciation. Other facilities that have come up over time, we have our transport. I really like the Ndeje University bus, our chief finance officer. We have transport. The university is very expansive. Kenyatta University sits on 1,200 acres of land, the main campus alone. It's very expansive. But we have made sure that it is walkable because most of the members of the community don't drive, they walk. So the university is very walkable, and we have paths on campus to ensure that we remain active. We have the shuttle buses. We have a library that can seat 6,000 students seated the way you are seated. It is the only library in the world that has a section for making noise. So you can go there and make noise. But our library is really, really, really beautiful. It is very well managed. Yeah, it's very well managed, and millions of volumes are here in the university, in our library. We have the Center for International Programs and Collaborations. This center, in 2013, we conceptualized it. I was the director in charge of international collaboration and partnerships. And I asked the university management then that why can't we have a center, a home for international students? And we designed this one, and we looked for money from another organization, and we got money, and we built this center. I'm really hoping that moving forward, it will not just be sports. We can expand our partnership and collaboration. Even as we continue enhancing sports, which is great, we can have exchange of students. We can have exchange of students and faculty members. The Inter-University Council for East Africa normally has grants. They have money. Here, I think they are on Chambogo Road there. The Inter-University Council for East Africa on Chambogo Road. They normally have programs that supports inter-university movement, inter-university collaboration, and even research. They have some resources. The East Africa Community Secretariat in Arusha, they have this. They have some of the resources. So I was discussing with Dr. Munai last evening. We have a plan, and I think we are going to actualize that plan. In Kenya, we have the National Research Fund with a huge budget. They call for proposals every year, and we try as much as possible to benefit from that. This one belongs to the students. It's a student center at Kenyatta University. The student guild, the student leadership, the chaplaincy, the dean of students, so that's their kingdom. We have facilities for lectures. As a result of hosting these sports events, this facility can host 4,000 seated, 4,000 human beings seated. We have a KU radio station run and managed by students. They are very innovative. We only provide them with basic administrative leadership. But in terms of the programming, the way they run it, they use it for publicity, for teaching, and for research. This is our radio station at KU. We have a university television station, it's a national station. We, as management, provide the basic staff for leadership, but it is run on a day-to-day basis by the students themselves, because we embrace the culture of learning by doing. You have to provide that opportunity for them to learn by doing it. I should say that the government of Kenya is rolling out the competency-based curriculum. Of course, comes with challenges here and there. But this new design, this new curriculum has put PE and sports science at the heart of it. This is going to be play from the pre-primary, grade 1, grade 2, all the way to the university. So you'll find people being taught play. It is embedded in the curriculum. Games, sports science, physical education, it has been embedded in the design. And I think it is because of the advocacy. We have done a lot of work. We have written in the newspapers, we have gone to, and we have talked. Looking up, not looking down because I'm a PE teacher. No, I look up and you speak the truth in a respectful manner. So we are very, very happy, and that creates opportunities for employment for our students and for our colleagues. Vice Chancellor, I have spent about 17 minutes, and I really want to thank the audience for being very attentive. I still have 3 minutes. We have this innovation center. This one is in my division. At KU, we believe in being an entrepreneurial university. Entrepreneurial university. So here we give students money. If you are a student at KU or a student from another university and you have an idea that has promise, we have the money, we'll give you the money, and we give you the space, and we give you professional mentors. It's my work as the DVC in charge of research and innovation. We have startups that have come up from here, startups, business startups, certain innovations that have come up from here. And that is what a university is supposed to do. We cannot just be teaching. Teaching, no. Teaching is high school and primary school. But university, you teach, you do research and extension and innovation. We have, flyover, this came as a result of the various games. So, I was looking for this one. Hosting of this event, this is my last slide, comes with challenges also. I'll not tell you all the challenges. We sometimes see that our efforts are fragmented. Vice Chancellor, some of the challenges come from these people, these sports officers who are here. Simon, you said we should say it. And Gunta, you said we are in the same boat, but we are sailing different directions. These sports officers here, VC, yours is good. The sports officers from Ndeje and Makerere, they are good. But some of the ones here, they are our worst enemies. They are pulling us down. They are pulling each other down. You find there are so many little corners here, they pull each other down. This one, they pull each other. When we hosted the first games, and I want to say this one with my tongue in the cheek, the challenge was that Kenyan universities, led by University of Nairobi, they did not send a team. Yeah, they did not send. Mbabu, I'm really sorry, you're my friend. Mbabu is the president of KUSA. But then Moi University, where the treasurer, is it treasurer or secretary? They didn't send a team. Yeah? University of Eldoret, no team. And which other one? This one of Western is called what? Kaimosi. The secretary comes from there. No team. No team. So let us support each other. Let us be honest and fair. But they work very hard. They hosted the first games as KUSA, and KU accepted to be the home. Let us support each other. The university management feels bad when we hear you guys are fighting. When we hear you guys are fighting, the university management, we don't feel good. And I'll tell you, there's a lot of intelligence also that university management gathers. We gather and we hear and we know, and we try to support you. Finally, so we pool our fragmented efforts. Let us engage partners outside of the sports fraternity. And I think the chief finance officer said it, and the keynote speaker and the minister. Let's talk to people outside the sports fraternity. There are so many opportunities. We'll be ready to host the next East Africa University Games at Kenyatta University. I'm told that we need to bid. We don't fear to bid. We are going to, and I really, really look forward to the trip to Ndeje tomorrow, Vice Chancellor. I really, really would like to, and I'll try to make it to Ndeje tomorrow. Thank you so much for the opportunity. Asanteni sana. Thank you very much. Thank you. Sorry. This is my kid. I can go back there?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, another hand clap for Professor Vincent. Thank you very much for telling such an inspiring story of Kenyatta University. There is a lot to learn from there, similarities, some differences, and articulating some of the issues that really matter in as far as university sports is concerned. Once you host, it gives you visibility. It helps you to improve your infrastructure. It builds your goodwill. And if I connect this to what Paul said, these are all things we can turn into money to support sports. The networking is a very great asset that we build as universities that can also help in terms of building the financial base. But at the heart of all that is the top management support for sports. And when you heard Professor speak, you could see that at Kenyatta University, the top management is deeply involved and they have clear mechanisms of how to get in there. And we've seen this also happen at Indeje, right? So this is going to usher us into the next very brief segment of a panel discussion where we are going to look at the involvement of top management. Okay, the involvement of top management in university sports. Isn't that a nice topic to discuss? Good. So I'm going to invite the panelists. We are not going to take long. Okay. The first panelist, as you may guess, is the only Vice Chancellor present, Professor Eria Blugujo. Kindly invite you to take up your seat. Then Professor Vincent Onywera. All right, I'm not going to say, okay, yes, thank you very much. We have another Deputy Vice Chancellor around, so I was careful not to say that. Then Mr. Paul Mark Kayongo. And then we have our very own Mr. David Kasasa. Mr. David Kasasa is the former Dean of Students, Nkumba University, but served in very many positions within university sports in Uganda and in the region. A hand clap to welcome our panelists. Okay. A technical team to help me move this. Okay, thank you. So we shall have a question to each of the panelists, but in case there is any that is out there in the audience, in the interest of time, kindly write it on a piece of paper. You can indicate your name and the panelist that you're addressing that question to. All right? And we shall read that. So once again, you're welcome. Professor Eria Blugujo, maybe you'll take on the very first kind of concern, which is to the what do you envisage should be the level of involvement in university sports by top management, drawing experience from your interaction with vice chancellors from different universities?
Thank you very much. Basically, most universities, or if not all, have strategic plans. And in those strategic plans, you have got sports. Sports, ideally, should be taken as part of the well-being and growth of our clients, namely the students. And for us at Indeje University, we have noted that involvement of students constructively, occupying all of their time in sports, reduces conflicts. And as I said in my submission, you create a framework for dialogue, for teamwork, for exchange of ideas, and also for tolerance, if I may say that. And all those attributes collectively lead to what we need: peaceful coexistence within diversity. And we need to minimize conflicts within the university. But also it is known that when students use their time constructively, they budget it, they become also academic, they improve their academic performance, because when they leave the football facility, for instance, at Ndege, by 5 o'clock, they are at the facilities. But when they come, there is no time for making a noise. They have to go straight to the library. What do I mean? You're occupying young minds who have a lot of internal energy, but value for money constructively. And this is what I see, that our universities essentially should be centers for growth, for tolerance, and also for peace nurturing and actually development. In so doing, you send out useful citizens who can contribute to national development.
Okay. Thank you very much. A hand clap for Professor. I think you raised a very important point which resonates with the current trends in demand for skills for the workforce, where people are emphasizing the soft skills. And what I seem to hear is that sports helps to inculcate those soft skills which are really pertinent for peaceful coexistence. Thank you, Professor. Now, Professor Onywera, one of the major turn-offs of top administration from engaging in sports or with sports activity is related to finance, where some people argue that sports takes away, if I'm to use that word. Is that okay? Does not utilize, but takes away the finances, and therefore it's not seen as a priority. What kind of advice can you give to top management of different universities in relation to that?
Thank you very much. Sports is a global phenomenon. And from the experience of Kenyatta University, sports is not an A or B. Number one, the students pay activity fee when they are registering. So at what point does sport take away money from the university? Two, every university has a vision and a mission. And it is very important to look at sports not just as running in the field. It's important to look at the holistic benefits of sports and physical activity. And aligning this to the national development agenda and the international development commitments. Therefore, my advice is that as sports officers, let us not be synonymous with asking for per diem only. Let the management, let the university management know us, of course, for asking for per diems, which is okay, because the work has to be done. But what else can we be known for as sports officers in the universities? So that sports is not seen as a problem. So that you, the sports officer, when you are seen in the administration, you are not seen as a problem, but you are seen as a solution, a very important plug in the overall growth and development of the university. Therefore, that calls for a rethink of our strategy as sports officers, a rethink of our plans as sports officers, and also we need to look beyond the central university administration for resources, because the resources, they are there. Every private company wants to be associated by an event. Every public department, every ministry, they have their plans. We simply need to widen the scope of the shopping basket, and then we move forward.
Okay, thank you. Taking it back to the sports officers, the tutors present, creating value for sports in universities will help top management get meaning out of that and therefore be able to spend. Otherwise, they'll continue saying you're taking away money and all that. Then also being innovative. Is that okay? Looking outside the other sources. So thank you very much, Professor. Mr. Kasasa, you've had tremendous experience as a dean of students and of course in the management of university sports as a vice president and so forth. When you look at the universities in Uganda, over time, is there any kind of improvement in terms of top management involvement in sports, or really it is at a standstill?
Thank you very much.
Yes.
I think there is a very great improvement. In the past, in universities, if your university team lost in a game, the vice chancellors or the top management would say, your students lost. You as a dean of students and sports tutor, your students lost. But when they win, they say, our students are very tough. They are the ones who participated very well. But I think of late, the top management has been going into encouraging the sportsmen to participate. It has been involved in the flagging off the players to go for the games. It has been encouraging the recruitment of talented sportsmen. It has been encouraging the improvement of feeding for sportsmen. So I think it has been great now that the top management is coming in. Even the lecturers, they used to insist that when I'm giving a test, if you're in sports, you'll miss the test and it'll be a problem. But these days, there are arrangements that even sportsmen, even if they are international engagements or national engagements, they can be allowed to do their exams or their tests or perform their academic projects properly. So I think we are now moving in the right direction. And maybe because now we have professors like Professor Nywera who are in the top management, they know what sports is really for the students and for the universities. So I think we should go in that direction, encourage the top management to continue supporting, because it is part of the university. As Professor Kajobi used to say, a university is not the buildings and the infrastructure. A university are the students and the people who work and study in it.
Yes.
So I think we need to take that so that we can encourage the entire involvement of the top management, the students, and even the lecturers. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. David Kasasa. And of course, the language, the sports language, your students, our students, communicates a lot, that when it is good, it is ours. And when it is not good, it is yours. But we need to see that sports is beyond possibly results in a competition. And I really like the framework which Professor Lugujo has talked about of coexistence. Okay, Paul, there is somebody who has written here, very wonderful question for you. He says, to participate in these university games, I think generally, not specifically of Undeje, requires an enormous amount of money. For example, a football team participating, say, in Indeje games may require about 30 million. If all games are covered, it's a huge financial burden. How is this managed to avoid the label not supporting each other? When that financial lack limits your participation, maybe to put it a little more generally. In terms of participation, you need money to take part in the games. And so his question is, what happens in case you can't afford? And trying to avoid that saying you are not supporting the games.
Okay, thank you, Vincent.
Yeah.
I think the first response would be to take an example of World Championship or World Championships. You'll find every nation has a right to enter participants depending on its capability. Uganda may enter 10 because its capability is for 10. And USA may enter over 500 athletes. China may enter 1,000. That is one scenario. But to tone it down a bit, I think the idea is a planning. Let's know that these are biannual events. Maybe they will happen every after 2 years. Can we start our planning a bit early? For example, Ndege University has been in the World University events, games, for 12 editions. Personally, I have attended 12 editions. But Ndege University is a smaller university with bigger what? Resources. Why we've been able to make it edition after the edition is an aspect of planning. We are not targeting to fill the 50 athletes, but we are targeting not to miss out in a major event like a Universiade. Whether we fill the 4 athletes, the theme is that we must participate. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Paul. Hand clap for Paul. Particular emphasis for planning. Particular emphasis for planning. How do we do our planning? That is so critical. You know, after an event, do you give accountability? And accountability, remember, again, it came from Paul, beyond the finances. Is that okay? There are very many areas of accountability, but then what next in the next edition? Okay, Professor Lugujo, there is a question here, which I think you can attempt very well. It says, what does top management expect from sports tutors in order for them to fully impress sports in universities and take it as a special component of university education? In other words, what should tutors do in order to ensure that sports is a main component of university sports? Any quick ideas on that, Prof?
A sports tutor should not surprise top management. Okay. She should work under expectation, meaning he should plan. He should plan within the strategic plan, because we have these annual plans. So he shouldn't wake up and say, I need a chronology of items. Secondly, there have to be continuous dialogue with the top management, meaning there must be a buy-in. A buy-in meaning that when a tutor comes, you can read his face and know what he wants to say. Isn't it? This is very important in management, that when you enter the door, I anticipate what you are going to say. meaning that I know you very well. This is very, very important now, especially where money is concerned. And it is scarce money, isn't it? Because it is a struggle.
Yep.
So you must be convincing, and also not to be too global. Saying this thing is done elsewhere. For instance, in Kenyatta they do this. Yes, Kenyatta is supported by government and donors and what have you, isn't it?
Yeah.
So you must be reality. There must be reality in your discussion. And this is what we want, to be from the grassroots. Like in Delegation University, it's a private university. And we measure our expectation within that context. We do the mobilization, fair enough. But when we can't send 100 athletes to, we can't overstretch, hook slow, elasticity. Yeah, there is a yield point. Beyond a yield point, you go to a breaking point, isn't it? We don't want to go to a breaking point. Yeah, so we work within the elastic limits.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor, for those wonderful and practical insights. Sports tutors, sports officers, you should be predictable. Just by looking at your face, somebody should tell which direction you're taking. But when you surprise top management, you will equally get surprised. Okay, there's a hand up there. Okay, yes, Professor Nywera, yes.
Team management, we expect our sports tutors to be practical, accountable, and use sports to enhance the visibility, marketability, and ranking of our universities. More often than not, when we take our students out and they excel, we sports tutors don't let the VC aware. We don't let the VC know these nice success stories. Because the VC's office is very busy, sometimes they are overwhelmed. But when you give them a small success story, they become happy. Next time when you go for a request, they will remember the success story that you gave them. So my dear sports tutors, don't light a candle and put it under the table. All those small little success stories that you experience, the top management would like to associate with them. Share them with top management, and the sky will be the lower limit.
Okay. Thank you very much. And now we are drawing to a close of this session. In the interest of time, I'll give the panelists just about 30 seconds for a final word. But before that, there is a comment or a question from Mr. Omara Peter. You're welcome. Huntington, can we have the microphone, please? Microphone, please. The front, yeah.
Thank you very much, moderator, for this opportunity. Yes. My name is Omara Peter Lamex. I am into sports administration and management. I was formerly Commissioner for Physical Education and Sports at the Ministry of Education and Sports here. I would like to thank the panelists, our presenters today. Professor, thank you for citing knowledge from long time, philosophical knowledge in the books you read, you said 62 years ago or so, which this can only be brought to us by professors from the universities. And we can see that sports was known a long time ago as a developmental activity for society. Now, Mr. Paul Kayongo spoke of the invaluable values and knowledge from the universities, like from professors, that are not costed or even recognized. And this brings me to the point I want to make. It may be some of those good lessons Professor Oera is talking about. Uganda has only just recently started becoming a powerhouse in the world to reckon with in sports. Around the late 90s, 1999 or so, Uganda was not known in the world as a sporting power. We were only remembered a little bit for the performance of Akibwa many years earlier. But I want to say that from my experience in government, around that year, 1999, is when the Ministry of Education and Sports decided to develop the very first physical education and sports policy for this country, Uganda. Now, I was blessed to have been there at that time, and who were the people who caused and supported the development of the very first physical education and sports policy that led to the great transformation of Uganda into a global powerhouse or an upcoming powerhouse? They were from the universities. I recall our very own Mr. Kayongo, the Peninas. There was Dr. Era Mugisa, Dr. Kadodoba, Biarohanga, Vincent himself. These were the people who we at the ministry then invited because we did not have that capacity. And we formed a task force which produced the eventual policy, which created the sports department and many other things that have made Uganda today the upcoming powerhouse of sports in the world. So I think universities still have a lot to do. There should be, in my view, a think tank which top management at the universities need to find a way of establishing to engage governments in giving direction for the development and support to sports. And there are many areas this think tank can give government direction in facilities development, human capital development, physical education in educational institutions like universities and NTCs and so on. Applied sports science. This can only come from the universities. And I thank the University Sports Association of Uganda. They were very central in our development in Uganda because I recall in those early days, it is them, the university sports, that approached us at the ministry and started introducing us to university sports activities. And I will remember always when Mr. Kayongo Penina came to the ministry, said, no, let's get into university sports and we see what happens. And took us along to one of the World Games in Izmir. It was a long time ago. So I want to thank Ndeje. Excuse me. I want to thank Ndeje University for organizing this symposium and for our guests from outside Uganda, but from our very own East African community for coming to share with us, and all the guests and visitors who have come to support us in making the University Games, the Eastern African University Games of this year a success. Thank you very much, moderator.
Thank you very much, Mr. Omara Peter, for those wonderful words and reassurance that university sports has a central role to play in the development of sports in any nation, in any country. So we need to be up to the game. So, ladies and gentlemen, just 30 seconds of a final word. We start with Mr. Kasasa, please.
Sports tutors or the sports department should really be spokespersons or marketing agents of universities.
Thank you very much. Brief statement, marketing agents. Professor Nywera.
Thank you very much. We have not seen the best of East Africa sports champions, especially from universities and even from high schools and primary schools. As a researcher myself, I think we need to come up with a very systematic program for talent identification and development. In Kenya now we have a philosophy called bottom up. We need to tap this talent from the bottom, identify it, develop it, nurture it, and you'll see what East Africa will be able to do. Eliud Kipchoge used to sell milk. He was just cycling the bicycle in Nandi Hills or Kapsabet until somebody noted him, and now he's the greatest of all times. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Professor Onywera. Yes, Professor Riabuluguje, final word from you. Yes.
Yeah, for private institutions, sports officers should also be part of the recruitment drive, because we have talents in high school, we have now talents in the marketplace. Sports officers should be versatile so that we get the talents. We have noted that even if these people have not qualified, there are ways we can bring them into the sports. And you've noted from our master plan, Gunther told you, the communities will be able to use our facilities, and in so doing, we'll be identifying them.
Yeah.
And when these people are doing their sports, they will also be doing their academic work, and then upgrade on a dual. We call this a duality. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor Eriab Lugujo. And we see a sports model unveiling when you look at Kenyatta University and you look at Ndeje University. Maybe, President, that is something that we can think about, or FEUS can think about, and as you know, work towards that for the member institutions. Okay, thank you. And finally, Paul, do you have any last words?
Thank you. You gave me a tree. When big people have spoken. But I think mine is from deep my heart to really emphasize the aspect of creativity or innovation and risk-taking. Let's not underrate ourselves, because we are in sports. That is, consider that as a past. Sports is no longer leisure. There's a lot of potential, hidden potential, which we need to discover as sportsmen and women. What you want your university to be should begin with we, individually. First of all, to be innovative, to be risk takers, and then we can venture into the unknown to be seen adding value to our institutions. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Paul, for the wonderful words. If you're to look 10 years ahead, what are those professions you could count as being critical 10 years ahead? Is sports one of them? Is sports one of them? So can we start the journey? So that when it gets there, we are already there. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. Kindly clap for the panelists. Thank you very much. And now, housekeeping. We are going to break off for lunch. We shall have 30 minutes strictly for lunch, not more. Then we reconvene. We shall have 2-3 presentations, and then we wind up. But I want to thank you so much for your attention, and let's continue in the same spirit. Lunch, Florence, are we getting coupons? Okay, so everyone will be given a coupon, and that is for accountability purposes only, then to have lunch, okay? So thank you very much. Let's meet after lunch. Yes.
This October,
Mbona, siniulize mbona, and yana finna bless this thing on
I finna hate it till I reach the corner. Mbona, what you mean Mbona? Mbona, oh you mean born?
Dunia nizamishe ama uniweke niishi peke yangu, kwani ninapomwamini kila binadamu mwishowe ananigeukia. Dunia nizamishe ama uniweke niishi peke yangu, kwani ninapomwamini kila binadamu mwishowe ananigeukia. Nimtazame nani, nimwamini nani? Nani wananigeukia vigeugeu.
This October.
Spies. Saboteurs.
How much do you know about your security detail?
What do you mean, how much do I know about them?
Let's call it war.
Ready for war! Where you going?
You're in no shape for this fight that lies before us.
We are the homie!
This October.
The conference that we have had just now. Good afternoon, Vice. Yes. Could you tell our dear viewers the significance of this event?
This is what they call a pre-game conference, namely a conference that takes place before the main event. For us, it will be in December, from 16th to 21st December. We have come here from the region to discuss the current state of our facilities and what is required to mount successful games. And here we exchange ideas of how best challenges and also of sports in the development of the human mind. And this is very crucial because initially sports was taken just as not major. It was just a matter of running and sweating, but the major ingredient in the holistic development of an individual in society. Because when you do sports, you nurture certain traits like teamwork, like tolerance, dialogue, the art of communication, and all of these attributes actually have got a confluence on peace. And indeed, when we receive students in the university, our main target is to develop these into peaceful individuals who turn out to be useful citizens. So you can realize that sports now is a major ingredient in our training. This is what it is.
All right. From the symposium that we've had today, what is Ndeje University's take of what have they learned and what are they going to do?
What we are trying to do now is actually to work day and night to ensure that we've got presentable facilities. We had some delay with the funding, but with the release now, you realize that we must fast track all the facilities, the major organizations, all the committees must now be sitting. And I'm very sure, and I have faith and hope that everything will work out. Yes.
One last question. We have talked to various guests that have been with us here today, and we have also had conversations with the Ndeje team. We want to know, is Ndeje University really ready for to host the East African University Games?
Yeah, we are not newcomers to this. We are ready because we are part we are known. It's Ndeje University is a powerhouse in sports. I cannot have any doubt that we will host successful games. Yes.
Thank you very much for your time. Please have a beautiful afternoon. Like you've heard from the Vice Chancellor himself, Ndeje University is absolutely ready to host the East African University Games. We are at the Symposium for the East African University Games here in Kampala, Uganda, and confirmed by the Vice Chancellor, for those at home who had doubts that, the different people that we interviewed are just telling us that the university is ready and is prepared. The Vice Chancellor himself, the Games host, has let us know that the university is absolutely ready and is improving on its facilities to universities that will be joining Ndeje University to compete in December. I'm going to have a few talks with a few other people, and they are going to let us know and tell us more about the East African University Games. Welcome to Ndeje TV. You are live. Yes. Could you please introduce yourself to our viewers?
Thank you. My name is Professor Vincent Onywera, Deputy Vice Chancellor, Research, Innovation and Outreach, Professor of Exercise and Sports Science from Kenyatta University, Kenya.
Well, you're very welcome. What is the significance of this symposium to the East African Games and just at large, all the universities at large?
This symposium is very important because it's a precursor to the University Games to be hosted at Ndeje University in December. And this symposium is a scientific meeting that has brought together researchers and practitioners and policymakers to share ideas, to share plans, to share information in the best interest of sports and to ensure that what we say is actually. Yes.
Will Kenyatta University be joining us for the December game?
Yes, we are very excited as Kenyatta University, and I want to assure you and assure the Vice Chancellor of Ndeje University that Kenyatta University will be in Ndeje in December in a big way. Yes.
Just one more question. Do you think that Ndeje University is ready and capable of hosting the December Games given the previous preparations?
I would say yes, because the very top leadership of Ndeje University, the Vice Chancellor and the management are here, and they have indicated and confirmed. And I listened to the Minister for Sports, who was here earlier on, confirmed that Ndeje is going to be ready for these games. Yes.
Thank you very much. Yes. Like you have heard from the Professor Deputy Chancellor, he also has assured us that for those that had doubts, for those at home who are not sure, who have not maybe seen the facilities being prepared, Ndeje University is more than ready for the East African Games. The East African University Games are basically networking the different universities in the East African community and also encouraging sports. We have heard from different people today that this sports, they want to put sports in part of the curriculum, part of the they want to professionalize it so that when you come to do sports, when you become a sportsman, it does not end there. It does not stop at just being that, but it becomes a profession. You get income from it and you enjoy, because I believe that sports is a talent and you enjoy being to carry on a career in something that you love, something that you're passionate about. This is just the beginning. We have heard from different speakers that the East African universities are just the beginning of what East Africa is capable of in terms of sports. Thank you very much, our dear viewers, for those that have just joined us. Thank you very much for watching, for those that have been with us since early morning. This has been the symposium for the East African University Games. Just to different researchers, different people are just here to tackle the challenges and see a way forward. Come December, it's going to be a beautiful day. And thank you very much for watching. Stay tuned.
This October.
It's DJ Derek Pro, the baddest.
From the Bible to the Quran, Revelation in Jerusalem, Shalom.
This October.
So if you boycott the league and you don't turn up, it's as good as indicating that you don't like discipline.
Era nga ndi musanyufu ku lw'abazannyi bannange betuzanye nabo mu league ne betuzanye nabo olunaku olwaleero. Ndi musanyufu akensuso nti nsobodde okubeera ku top 3.
I'm very glad that we have defended it very well as winners. I'm so glad for my teammates. Really, they made it for me as their captain.
Congratulations.